All right, enough of that. Enough. Sick. Heard enough. Let's get this thing. Oh my gosh, that was really loud. That was really exciting. Okay, cool. We're back. Hot dog. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Next to the Floor. My name is Harrison. I'm joined by this guy. Right. Where's my camera? Here. There we go. Helps if I look at the camera. Right there. By the one, the only, Gary, not scary, aka Good Guy Gary.
What's up? What's up?
Hello. Happy February the 3rd. It has been almost a month since our last episode, and things have gone from crazy to crazier.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I walked home today.
How'd that go? Today.
We're not from the studio.
Well, I know that, but from like the train.
But from the train, yeah, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take an Uber, but then I was like, nah, I think I'll walk home from the T. And I just found out, I got home and I found out it was like -4 degrees outside with the wind chill. Not the best decision.
No, well, you know, we all make choices.
My face hurts.
And it's killing me too. Thank you. I'm here all night. Make sure you tip your waitress.
You know, well, how are you today, Harrison?
I am doing well. I feel like I am I'm feeling successful today.
That's good.
Yeah.
What are you feeling successful about?
You know, every so often in my job, I feel like I'm doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are other days where I'm like, God, I am the actual worst. How am I still working here? How am I still hired?
I feel like that's a feeling that we all tend to share often. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
I'm saying. Don't mind me just eating a piece of chicken.
Oh, well, you know, since you're eating the chicken, I might as well pull out a second banana.
Still working on dinner. So
listen, everybody at home, we get home late and
and
you know, now we gotta eat as soon as we get home.
Now is dinner time, but I'll save the rest of my meal for afterwards, so that way I don't end up going to town during this. So aside from craziness let's talk about the craziness that has been work these last couple of weeks. So we God, what the hell happened? The new year happened. The new year started.
Well, it's been a whole new year.
It has been a whole new year. We went to Cabo.
Well, which was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I don't know if you guys checked out my Instagram or my reels or anything, but like the view from my hotel room, let me tell you, it was amazing. Like, there's literally whales breaching,
just chilling,
the surface of the water, just chilling outside in the water.
If you're looking for Gary's social media, you very clearly haven't been paying attention to anything we've been saying over the last forever. But here is his Instagram handle blown up really large. Hold on, I'm going to bring it to the front so everybody can see it. 1 second, move that. There you go. It is _good_guy_Gary. Instagram, check him out. He's actually got it was a really cool trip. I've been saying this over and over when people ask like how the trip down to Cabos was. Truthfully, it is really hard to go wrong when you're on an all-inclusive resort. It is very hard to go wrong.
Very, very hard to go wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I need to do that more often.
Oh yeah. The weird thing is when you come back from an all-inclusive resort and you're still in all-inclusive mode and you go to the store and just pick up things off the shelf and
and then you have to
forget that
pay for it.
Pay for it. Ooh.
I think the weirdest experience for me was I used my debit card on Tuesday when we went down. And then once we arrived, my wallet didn't leave like my pocket of the shorts that I was wearing the entire week.
I had trouble finding my wallet after I got back.
My God.
I didn't use it.
I didn't use it. And so like as we were leaving, that like little stress panicky moment that you have when you think you've forgotten something, like the stress that I was going through trying to remember where I had put my wallet at the beginning of the week. Because as we were leaving, I was certain in the back of my mind that I had left it at the hotel, like certain. Even though I had like checked every single possible nook and cranny in the room for my wallet and like every possible thing. And so I just assumed it was in one of my suitcases until we got to we legitimately got to the airport, and I decided when we were at the airport to like go into my bag, check to see if my wallet was in a pair of shorts that I was wearing, rather than doing that when we were back at the hotel. But I did not touch my wallet for an entire week.
I legitimately found my wallet yesterday.
Oh, that's good.
No, this morning. No, it was yesterday. Yesterday. Either one.
Well, that's good.
I was just using Apple Pay. Apple Pay since I got back.
Same.
Running around without my ID. See, I was still in resort mode, so I was still using my passport for my ID. And I was still in resort mode, so I still was like, I don't need my debit card.
But
life is just an all-inclusive resort.
It really is.
Which it is not, by the way.
It was so nice though, just to order room service. That was a fun experience.
What was your favorite dish on the room service menu?
I mean, so, if I were to give for everyone who's watching, we stayed at the Hard Rock Hotel and Resort in Cabo San Lucas. Overall, the hotel, quite lovely. I think the food was like mid.
I have a funny experience to share.
Go ahead.
Like me and the dance partner, we went to what was the sushi place called?
Like Zen or something.
Zen or something. And we had I am an Asian food connoisseur. I just had it all. And super excited to eat at the only Asian place there, sushi, Japanese. And let me tell you, it was probably the most difficult thing of my life ordering there, because we're in Mexico trying to order sushi and I'm pronouncing everything spot on. But I still can't understand a word what they're saying, because they're still speaking English, but they're trying to pronounce Japanese with his like
With the
Mexican
Spanish accent.
accents,
Yeah.
with the Spanish accents, and I tell you, Cassidy and I were lost, lost. We were like, "Come again? Como se dice California roll?" Like,
Oh God. No, what I found the most interesting, also I have to remember, like, remembering that it's an all-inclusive resort catered towards most likely like Americans and Canadians. That the selection of food was very interesting, like the fact that they had a Japanese teppanyaki place was it felt very random. Like they had a Mexican restaurant which was nice, and like the Italian restaurant was really weird. I didn't go to the steakhouse.
I didn't go to the steakhouse either. I heard it was good though. I heard a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people went to it, and I was like, "Nah, I'll stick with the sushi." It's the only thing I could really eat over there.
Was sushi.
Yeah, pretty
Oh yeah,
much.
because you've got all sorts of allergies now.
Yeah, update. I have all sorts of allergies. Man, 30 hasn't been too nice.
I'm
But
telling.
you know what?
Listen, I warned you. See, this is what happened
Man,
because you laughed at me last year when I hurt myself at the gym. And so now the Lord on high, and I've strained from the church, but the Lord on high said, "You know what? I don't like ugly, so
zap zap.
boop,
You know what's funny
beep
too?
boop."
You know what's funny too? I I was in the staff room today and I hit my knee on one of those small little orange chairs that we have. Like
That will mess
I
your shit up.
yeah, like listen, it's a little step stool. It's a little step stool, right? And you just take a squat on it. And I just bumped it. And usually when you bump it, it just knocks over. Right. It just knocks over. But I bumped it and I knocked over. And I feel like I'm gonna be hurting for a couple days by hitting this
Yes.
small little step stool. I'm like, man,
Listen, I
is this how it's just gonna be now?
the whole scenario of being 30 plus, it's no joke.
Look, I went to the doctor the other day and I had this injury. And then I asked my doctor, I was like, so okay, I was like, okay, cool. They're like, you have this. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So how long does that take to heal? And then she like looked at me and she was like,
She
oh,
said, "Heal."
heal.
And then laughed in your face.
Heal. That's something that you teach dogs.
Right. For real. On dogs. Listen, I think about it often, the fact that my mother, God bless, at my age had 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Like single mom, 3 children, working 2 jobs or whatever. I'm tired and my body hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one job.
Yeah.
So I can only
Yeah.
imagine.
God.
Yeah, so I could not. I could never.
I understand. No, honestly, like have had a lot of realizations in this the past like year. Not in the past like 2023, but like since April to this day. And my birthday's coming up. My 31's around the corner. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna survive. JK, JK. But I'm like now I understand like little things that like when the adults I say that like I'm not an adult, but back then when the adults would say, "You young kids think you're invincible," and then like, "No, we don't. No, we don't." But then I'm looking
I
back now, I'm like,
I
I really
dead
thought
ass thought I was invincible.
I was invincible.
You couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah,
Untouchable.
yeah. And now that I like, I feel like I mean, I still got it, but I like I but like now I look back and I'm just like, man,
You got what? What got what?
Arthritis.
I was gonna
That's what I
say.
got.
You better tell it to that back. Better tell it to that back.
But anyways, now I understand why why these adults they take these weekend cruises and these all inclusive resorts, and
Yes.
they go to the spa. And I used to think that was boring. I'm like, why would you want to just lay around at a pool? And like, why would you want to just like have somebody touching you all day, like put rocks on your back, like rocks? What? And now I'm just like, I get it.
I get it. Somebody, please,
I
somebody
get
come put rocks on my back.
somebody please come rocks on my back.
Put rocks on my back, please. I feel that 100%. 100%. Yeah, isn't
Oh,
it's wild. It's wild.
have you done? Question for you.
Yes.
Have you done cryo before? Cryotherapy. I think we talked about this before.
I don't think so. And I don't think we have, and I have not, but I did go outside today. So I feel like that is close.
It's basically the same thing, huh?
Yeah.
For anybody who don't know what cryotherapy at home is, it's where you go into this contraption, and it's a stand up contraption. Don't worry, you don't have to sit down for people with like weird back problems. Trust me, I know what that is. You stand up, and they pump a whole bunch of frigid cold air straight through your skin. Um, and they do that for a little bit, and you can just they have a gauge on there, and it just drops. The temperature drops rapidly, and it gets to like 500 degree, like 500 negative 500 degrees or but it's only just like a little bit, like only a little bit of time, and then it just I don't know what the health benefits are. I don't know, it contracts your muscles, and then but
I'm
I
sure
don't really
there's
know.
something. I mean, like, I'm not on the TikTok per se,
Google it.
but I've noticed on my For Me page of like the TikTok, and also on like my Instagram, I've been getting like, a lot of videos of like people doing like ice baths.
Oh, that's different though.
Like,
That's way different. Ice baths are nothing.
well, I know, but like, and along the same theme of cryotherapy, I feel like people are just submerging themselves into cold water or like experiencing cold for fun.
I feel like people just want to feel something. Okay, here's cryotherapy. Cryotherapy, sometimes known as cold therapy, is the local or general use of low temperatures in medical therapy. Cryotherapy may be used to treat a variety of tissue lesions. The most prominent use of the term refers to the surgical treatment specifically known as cryosurgery or cryoablation. I think that's that word.
Are we just gonna gloss over the statement that you made of just, I don't know, people just want to feel something?
Cold.
We're just gonna throw it out there and then just move past. That's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're moving on. Um,
Okay, wait. Here's the temperatures. Um, let's see how low does this go? Freezing dry air below 100 minus 100 degrees Celsius
okay.
for 2 to 4 minutes.
Now, I don't know much, but I'm fairly certain that is very cold. Negative 100 Celsius is 100 negative 148 degrees Fahrenheit. Wouldn't that kill you?
No, so see, here's the thing, right? It's freezing dry air. I believe if it was like cold air, I mean wet air, then like it would
Freeze your skin.
freeze your skin, and then yeah,
So,
that's
okay.
crazy.
So, regardless,
No, I've done it. I've done it multiple times. It's crazy.
it
It's
sounds
crazy.
like the worst. It sounds awful. I mean, to each their own. Don't knock it till you try it.
Well, I mean, of course, your head. So you stand in it, and your head is like outside of it.
Oh, so you're like in a giant
It's really,
iron lung.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool.
I'll think on it. I'll consider it a thing.
We should go together.
To
It helps.
cryotherapy.
Yeah,
It helps going with a friend.
yeah.
I'll think on it.
Then because then they can sit there and laugh at you while you're freezing.
Yeah, that's what I figured as much. That was the goal, is to have somebody there so we can laugh at them. Um
With you, sorry, with.
sorry. So since our last episode, what has happened in the okay, so I was hold on, let me try that one more time. Since the last time we had our little show here, what has happened? There was a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of chaos, a lot of disorder, a lot of nonsense. But you know what was a fun thing that was really cool to notice is the number of people of color at Cabo,
Yes.
and how much
Yeah.
our collective numbers are growing.
More and more with every day.
Yeah,
Love it.
I remember talking to Ron Christie, who was on our like original roundtable, though, like the roundtables that kicked off this whole entire crazy journey all those many moons ago. And he was talking about how exciting it was for him as like one of the, not one like the only, but one of the first Black professionals in Arthur Murray. And especially like one of the first with like as much renown as him as he has. How exciting it was to see so many more people of color in the industry, not just as like teachers, but like as students and as franchisees, executives, and the whole nine yards. And it's really cool to see more and more each time we go to these different dance dramas.
It is. It is. We've it's a growing community, and I love to see it. And because it's like we said before many times, we need that type of representation. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
that was just an observation that I had. And
Hmm.
I am hesitant to like, well, actually I'm not hesitant, I'm just reticent to switch gears and talk about like everything else that's going on in the world, because there's so much kind of like shit that's happening,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's all really heavy and tough to like deal with on a Friday evening at 5:30, 5:30, wow, 10:53 p.m. I can't tell time.
Yeah. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. But I was having a conversation uh uh with a student the other day, because they asked me about like my thoughts on the whole Tyree Nichols situation down in
Yes.
Memphis.
Hmm.
And as far as like high profile cases are concerned, I'm glad that justice was and is being served in that case. Um,
Yeah.
but and this might be a hot take, it might not be a hot take, I don't know, but I find it very interesting and fascinating that um I think that it's very interesting, in a very interesting juxtaposition, how quickly justice was served, considering the I will say the racial makeup of the police officers, you know
Hmm.
so like it's weird to think that, but I just find it a little interesting, maybe a little suspect that, this happened, it was reported, and then like the next day all 5 police officers were immediately fired and charged. Whereas, and I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying that it's possible that if the police officers had been any other particular race or of any other background, that perhaps this whole entire scenario might not have had as much, it might not have happened with such a quickness as it did.
Yeah. And it's almost kind of just like, you know what? It's just like it's it's kind of like a It's
Yeah.
kind of like well, you got what you want, but like why did it happen so quick?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
And
not that.
when there's still other cases out there that still like there's still cases open cases. Did I hit that right on the nail?
Yeah, I'm and granted, the court of law is going to do what the court of law does. Um and I, as a as a dance instructor who lives in Boston, right, and a bit far removed from, is it Memphis, Tennessee? I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. Um I just find it, well, it's hard to draw conclusions because we are so far removed from the facts of the case, right? Like we weren't there, we weren't involved in it at all, so it's easy for us to draw conclusions and make assumptions about things. But given the very cut and dry nature of this case, I don't know. I just think it's really interesting that uh, offending officers all happen to be black. They're immediately discharged from the force when you have other very cut and dry cases that have happened in the past. Very cut and dry, like exceedingly cut and dry, like to the point where
Yeah.
it shouldn't even have been a question. Where those are in some cases still being litigated.
Yeah. Yeah. Like why is this one quick? Why is this one quick?
You know,
Well, because we see you protesting. We see you protesting. I mean, I still appreciate though that like
and
there's still people coming out to protesting. Um, for example, there's like, I mean, of course, not as much numbers as like during the pandemic and when we were locked up. But there's still like 150 people outside the state house during downtown Boston um, that went out to protest the beating as well, and then all over the United States as well too. That's it's good
and
that there's still.
I don't think this is to, all of this is not to like disqualify the importance of the speed of the justice system, right? I think it is important to they can be mutually exclusive ideas, right? That like
Mhm.
you can on one side have justice, right? And I think it's important that swift justice in these scenarios is allotted because, like, a life was lost in a way that it shouldn't have, and didn't need to
Mhm.
be. um, but also at the same time, it's possible to have that and also question, why did this happen so quickly and not other scenarios? Like, what is it about? And gonna circle to the conversation of critical race theory. Here we are. But this is, that is the important question. One of the important questions that things like critical race theory attempts to address or bring light to is that, even in matters of policing, when justice is being dispensed, is it possible to look at the way that laws are read and viewed, um, as a from the through the lens of race and racial disparity? Like, why is it that these police officers were instantly convicted and charged, whereas other police officers of different background weren't? Right? I think there have been a lot of cases, or not, maybe not high profile, but I'd be interested in seeing, um like, statistics of, like, police firings as a result of, like, internal review and misconduct, like the breakdown of racial background, like race and gender background, like who on the police force, if you took a sample of x many police officers, all committed the same quote unquote crime, right, or all abuse their power in the same exact way, who is more likely to be discharged and, like, literally fired and convicted, charged from the police force, versus who's going to be put on administrative leave? I'd be interested in knowing that bit of information.
I think you're, yeah, I think you might have an inkling.
Right? Like, well,
Right.
I mean, the writing is on the wall. That's like a. It's more just to, you know, bring
And
some.
if you ask the institutions directly, like you, like you'd be like, "Whoa, what? Look, what are you mad about?
Right? What are
We
you
did what
implying?
you were protesting. We did what you're protesting about. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know."
that's why you can't ask the institution.
Yeah.
No, it is what it be. Anywho, um, but I think that's the important lesson there, is that there's always something to be learned and gained from seeking out answers to difficult questions. Like, I was having, what was I what was I talking I was having a conversation in Cabo. And we were talking about something about millennials. What were we talking about? God, it was a really interesting conversation.
Was it with me?
No, it was with a student, and we were just talking about, like millennial psychology, and how we're so different than, like, previous generations, millennials and Gen Z. Oh, it was something about how millennials and Gen Z are, um statistically more liberal and progressive than previous generations, and combined, millennials and Gen Z make up the largest voting bloc in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so, despite the doom and gloom of, the alt right kind of rearing its ugly head, that the kids are all right, fortunately, right? That everything's going to be okay.
Hopefully,
Hopefully,
hopefully.
Or here's hoping.
Hopefully.
Here's knocking on wood, hoping.
I think. And well, I mean, like, don't they always say, kids are the future, or the hope?
I
Kids are the hope
believe the
of the future, or
children are
something.
the future.
Sure,
I mean, Whitney Houston sang a song about it.
something like that.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
But I don't know, man. Every single time I see them on the T, I'm just like,
Yeah, but kids be like that though.
just be like
Kids
that.
be
They're
like that.
young.
They're young. I mean,
They don't know
like
how good they got it.
they think they're invincible. Listen, we just had this talk. Of course kids are annoying because they think they're invincible, and honey, you've got a hell of a storm coming to you.
Man, honestly, growing up in this day and age, man, they're gonna have some tough kids, or some very weak kids. I don't know.
Well, I think it's I find it interesting that is always it's a conversation that I find that happens every single generation, with between like one generation thinking and lamenting about the next one, right? Like every generation is going to each successive generation will have it in some ways better than previous generations,
Yeah,
right? And isn't that the point?
that is the point. It's like I hate it when people are saying like, "Oh, like it's the worst time to be alive right now," like for kids. I'm like, man,
Like
you ever
why?
lived during the bubonic plague?
Right, like dead ass.
During the
There was a
you ever
point in time where the life expectancy was 30.
there's a point in time where you can just run into any. I mean, you can do this now, but like you wouldn't get away with it. Like, well, you can just like go into somebody's village and just take all of their stuff,
For real.
all of their all this.
I've been getting into a lot of like English history and reading up on like the like House of Tudor. So like King Henry and his whole like wives situation. Um and like speaking of being a kid at that time. So like one of his wives, Catherine Howard, was I think 15, maybe 16 when she married King Henry.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
She well so and so she
I
was
mean, that's what I mean. Like, go ahead.
well so she was a lady in waiting to Anne Boleyn when she was like 13, when King Henry started having an affair with Catherine Howard, who at that time was like 13, 14, right? Or
Oof.
15,
Yeah.
and then
I mean,
marries
that's
her.
how it is with them.
Yeah, and exactly. So, so
I mean,
she
yeah. I mean, it's acceptable because, like, with like life expectancy isn't even that high.
right. And then, she turns what, 19 years old. Henry hears like rumors that she's having an affair with one of his courtiers and then just chops her head off,
Yeah.
you know.
Like, yeah,
So
like
like
Cleopatra with like the Cleopatra story with her sister and
yeah, and her sister dead, her little tiny, it's this invincible little ass kid who was like what,
yeah, they think
like a 10 years old, was like, no, you're not it,
yeah.
this is my throne, you're banished, boom,
Oh my gosh,
what's
crazy!
good. Yeah, she literally
I tell
said,
you that.
boom, what's good, this is mine. 10 years old. Meanwhile, Cleopatra is like 16, banished, just out.
Yeah,
Bye. By a
yeah.
10-year. Imagine you have a 10-year-old little sister and she says, "This is my throne. Bye."
This is my throne.
Like,
Bye.
what would you, I'd be like,
I'm just gonna go hit up Caesar. Like,
right. It'd be like, "Excuse me, you're 10 years old." Like, what?
oh my gosh.
But, you could have said the same thing about, like, I don't know, if that even had a generational name, right? Like, I'm sure our the you even saw it between like with the baby boomers, right? Because
Yeah,
their entire generation was basically like the season of love, the 60s, right? They
yeah,
were all like going into they were all potheads. That
yeah,
was their whole thing, and then they suddenly flipped the switch and became the most conservative generation in history, which is wild to me. But even
yeah,
like the generations before them, this was part of the conversation. I've said it before and I'll say it again that every generation has its own form of reefer madness. Because we were talking about social media and the effects of like social media and social media influencers and stuff like that on like current generations and
yeah,
how like things are going like slightly awry and blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, but every generation has its own reefer madness, right? Like
yeah.
there was literally a point in time where like people thought that and they still kind of do to a degree, right? That like marijuana was like the devil's drug and it was going to
Lettuce,
cause it was the devil's lettuce and it was going to cause all of these kids to go insane and like murder each other and blah 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 blah.
Lucifer's cabbage,
Yeah, and like every generation has had that, right?
Satan,
um
Satan spinach.
there was an entire point in time, there are actual like newspaper articles um lamenting the where people like grown ass adults were, and sounds so trivial now because it's just the thing we use all the time, but adults were complaining about the use of like loose leaf paper in classrooms. Like they were starting to make
Oh yeah,
they were making the transition between like slates
yeah,
and like personal like slates and chalkboards to like notebooks.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
and there were articles upon articles and like every single op-ed newspaper and like right to the editor sort of thing. Granted, this was turn of the century, so it was like a thing, but it became such a huge scandal that people were using, or like kids were using paper notebooks
loose leaf paper,
right,
paper notebook.
because who knows what secrets and dalliances they could be writing down
Yeah,
in those books and keeping for themselves. The idle
those
mind is the
secrets,
devil's
the
right.
devil's secrets.
The
Yeah,
idle mind is the devil's playground, right? And so that was a huge issue for people, was that like, oh, we can't give kids these notebooks because they're just going to write whatever the hell they feel like in there. We can't have our kids thinking immoral thoughts.
can't have that.
And then it was in like, the turn of the century 1920s, going from like a time of like Victorian and Edwardian fashion where it was like, very conservative, like high-necked, high collars so that you wouldn't expose really anything, super cinched waists, things like that, dresses all the way down to the floor, to girls suddenly bobbing their hair and wearing flapper skirts,
Yeah,
right? And staying up until all hours of the night drinking, listening to jazz music.
yeah,
And which is interesting, on a slightly non sequitur, it's interesting that jazz music was the devil's music, considering that it was created largely by black people.
black people.
Hey, just saying. But,
Yeah.
that's a whole thing in and of itself.
Speaking of jazz music, we gotta go take the fam to go listen to some jazz music this month. Oh,
Happy
um
Black History
happy
Month.
Last Sexy Month.
What did you just
Is it
say?
like happy like the weekend? No, I said happy Black History Month, but like yeah, we're happy about Black History, even
Yeah.
though there's a lot that wasn't like happy. Like I don't know.
It's a month where we get to recognize how
Recognize.
incredible we are as a community and the magic that we create. The magic that we
Our
create.
history shaped us. History shaped us.
Yeah, but
Crazy.
here's the thing. Black history is American history. Die mad
Well,
about
yeah,
it.
it is.
You see,
It
speaking
is.
of Black history, of months, did you see, and this will come as no surprise, but a one of the Miami precincts or whatever, they outfitted their cars, like did a, like a, I don't know car things, but you know how you can like change the look up of your car by like putting a thing on it.
Like a kit, like a body kit.
Well, yeah, is that where you just like put a little thing over it to make it look like it looks different?
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
where they put the vinyls, car vinyls.
Oh no, the when
Yeah,
you wrap
thank
it,
you, thank you. I watched Pimp My Ride. Yeah,
they wrap this card. Cool.
yeah. So they wrapped the car in a this like Black History Month thing.
Show the peoples.
Oh my gosh, hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on, wait for it. I think I can do this. Let me share this because it's a mess. It's truly a mess.
I think I've seen it. Honestly, I think I've seen it.
Let me use source window. This one. Okay, hold on. Everybody, just keep holding on. New tab. Great. That. Then we're gonna this image. Bring it down just so everybody can see. It's truly a mess. Like, I don't know who came up with this idea, but it was not it. And so, if anything, this is gonna sound a little bit ironic and kind of interesting for me to say, but you know how like in Florida they just passed they're trying to pass the Stop Woke Act.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
kind of nonsense that they should be trying to stop. Like when I think of the word woke, this is the nonsense that I
Hold on. Let me go see it. Hold on. Pull it up. Hold
yeah,
on.
let me
It's already up there. Hold on. I was just there. Oh, there. Yeah. With the.
like imagine
What's wrong with this?
what's wrong
What's
with
wrong
it.
with this?
Like it's a nice wrap, sure, but I think as a uh symbol, I feel like the police.
Wait, who did this? Who
This
did
is
this?
the Miami-Dade County.
Oh, the police did this.
Yes. This is
So
the
wait,
so
aren't they trying to like not be woke?
you know, you know, you know. So here's
I'm
the thing.
confused.
So here's the background. So Miami Police Chief Manuel Morales spoke at a ceremony honoring the first black men to join the Miami Police Department in 1944. Officers Clyde Lee, Moody Hall, Edward Kimball, John Millage, and Ralph White. They stood against all odds, not only against those in the community who wished to stop them, but members from their own department that wished to stand in their way, he said. Suarez, who was also at the event, called it a beautiful collaboration to commemorate to commemorate Black history. However, the unveiling led to black backlash on social media, with some Black leaders expressing their disdain. Cheryl Lynn Ifill, former president of NAACP Legal Defense Fund, took to Twitter writing, "This cannot be." MSNBC legal analyst Charles F. Coleman Jr. tweeted that this is the type of tone-deaf performative action is what provokes a war on wokeness when we are made to accept the unacceptable.
Hmm.
So, right. So I find it
How do
fast.
you feel about this? You find it?
Um,
Oh, here you go. You find it fascinating.
yeah, I find it really interesting that like of the symbols that they could have possibly used to commemorate Black history, they chose like a police car. They chose a police car. And then, which historically has been, you know, a, well, just historically, the police have been an active part of the policing and unfair treatment of people of color in the United States since its induction as a ruling body in the late 1800s, post Civil War Jim Crow times.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I feel like if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have you better like be perfect.
Yeah, and why not make like a nice plaque or put like a statue up that says like, "Hey, these are the first black police officers," and not put it on a fucking, excuse my language, not put it on a fucking
You're gonna get
police.
us demonetized.
Oh, well,
You're gonna get us demonetized, man. Listen,
but not put it on like some police cruiser that's then going to and dead ass gonna go around and arrest black
and
people.
arrest black people.
Like what?
Like, imagine, like,
What?
imagine that. Imagine you
Imagine
walking down the
getting.
street, imagine, pulled, pulled over,
I can't even.
or like imagine you're jaywalking. Imagine you're jaywalking
And then
just to
here
like
comes
get
the
across the street, and then whoop whoop whoop.
here comes the Black
You
History
turn
Month
around.
cruiser, driven by some overweight, zealous white guy.
I'd be like, what the hell?
And then you get arrested.
The and then you get arrested. Nobody would believe you. Actually, there's a few people that would believe you. Like, I
Like
believe that. I
this,
believe that.
that comedy could write itself. Oh my god. Oh, I already told the dead person story. Did I tell the dead people story? Did I tell the story about how I saw a dead person?
I don't think so. I think so. I mean, probably like a while back, maybe. But go
Hold
ahead and tell
on.
them again.
Wait, hold on. No, I don't want to share this story. I'm not going to share this story if I've already done it.
All right.
Speaking of getting like pulled over and like comedies writing themselves. Um December 21st. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh my god. Okay. So, oh lord. So, this is the most I wanted to tell this story a while back, but so speaking of comedies that write themselves, and this has nothing to do with Black History Month or anything that we're talking about, but this is how I know that like when we said at the beginning of this episode that like life has been crazy this last month,
Yeah.
like if ever there were a story to signify how crazy life has been. So about a month ago, over a month ago, I am helping my dance partner and her husband Kat move from their house in Brighton to a new apartment over in East Boston, closer to the airport because he's got to do a lot of travel for work, whatever, blah blah blah. So we're moving in. It's a random, regular, like Saturday, I think, afternoon. We're off work. It's no big deal. So I go over, we load up my car, their pickup truck, their friend's car. We drive everything over to East Boston. We get to their place. Things are cool. We pull into this driveway. And I wish I could draw a picture of this. It was like the most surreal thing. So we pull into the driveway of their new building. It's really nice, but it's like this little side driveway that's got their parking garage underneath the building and like go to the loading area. And in the driveway, like kind of by the big doors for like where you can load stuff through, so they've got like a big garage door, is like this black van and then like a maintenance truck and this other car. So we don't think anything of it, and we just kind of park next to them thinking like if we need to move, like I'll be downstairs, so I can just move one of the cars out of the way so people can leave. No big deal. So we've got our 3 cars parked, like boom, 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 and then the black van's up here, and these other 2 cars are down over here or whatever. Those 2 cars, eventually, those guys leave. Like, it's just the maintenance guy. He just like drives off, and some other people, they just drive off. And so while we're unpacking the truck and bringing things like inside to the elevator, some guy comes outside and like says to us like, "Hey, we're gonna be leaving soon." So we're like, oh, okay, no big deal. So BJ moves his car out of the way and like drives it around to the other side of the truck, so there's a clear space for that van to get through. And we're like, okay, so we go back to loading things in. And then probably like 5-10 minutes later, that guy comes down with another guy and this woman. And from where I'm standing by my car, like behind it, I can only see the tops of their heads. And Kat is standing next to me, and then like her husband and their friend are over in the van, and they're like unloading things. So Kat and I are there. We're grabbing things out of the back of my truck, and I see these guys come out, and they're kind of behind the van, so I can't see anything. But all of a sudden, they come around. They come around the corner of the van, but it's not just the 3 people. It's the 3 of them, and the 2 guys are wheeling a gurney with what is very clearly a dead body on it underneath a blanket. And it turns out the woman wasn't just down there with them. She was very clearly like distraught and bawling her eyes out. So it's very clear somebody had just died. And this was like the coroner and like probably the director of the funeral home collecting the body. And this woman was just, yeah. So the 4 of us are there. Like, we're just there. While we're just, and that's like kind of how the feeling is, where you're just kind of like trapped, uncertain of what to do.
In the moment.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. You're like, well, dang.
Yeah, because like, especially myself and Kat, because we're kind of stuck. BJ and Jake can very easily run inside, no big deal. So they like book it out of there and like kind of like sorry, and like run in. Kat and I are stuck there because where my car is, the only way for us to get inside is to like very clearly just march past these people, like past this dead body on a gurney, and then go in.
Wow.
Or you can walk down the world's longest driveway. It like, when I say world's longest, it was one of those moments where like, you know, in The Shining, where like Elliot, Ellie, nope, that's E.T. Billy, Danny. Danny is in here, Mrs. Torrance. He's like riding the bike, his tricycle down the thing, and then suddenly like the hallway like stretches and it's like 1,000,000 miles long.
Yeah, that whole yes.
Yeah, that is what the driveway did. Like, I turned around and suddenly the driveway was like the end of the earth and I couldn't get there. So we were just stuck there. And I just remember ducking my head into the back of the truck, trying to just like touch things and look busy. And the worst part is I'm there trying not to laugh. Like,
yeah, like, yes.
Taking literally every single fiber of my being not to laugh. I can't look at Catherine. I tell her multiple times to shut up. I tell her to stop breathing, because every time I hear her take a breath, I'm about to burst into laughter because of the sheer insanity of this whole scenario. So
I'm gonna pause you there because I have to say it. You know, like when the whole like the thing when everything gets longer.
Yeah.
You know, it's called the it's called a dolly zoom. It's called like the vertigo effect.
Yeah.
It's a very famous shot that like that Hollywood likes to use.
That's exactly what happened to me in real life.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly what
crazy.
happened.
Anyways, continue. Sorry, there's a little bit of like production knowledge for you guys.
Well,
dolly zoom.
Here you go. Hold on. How do I do it? It's this one. The more you know. So there you go. So eventually, like, they load the body into the back of the van, which turns out is the hearse. It's not just the van; it's the funeral hearse. And I found out from our admin down in Weymouth, who used to work for a funeral home, that the majority of funeral homes now are now using vans, like regular like Dodge Caravans and vans and things like that, instead of hearses when they're collecting the bodies, because they want to try to make it as discreet as possible. But
Yeah, just get the body in there and go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But turns out you can't be too discreet when you've got four people moving out or moving in right there. So
Just like, oh, wrong place, wrong time.
yeah, so long
So
story
this is
short,
this.
long story long, they load the body into the truck. One of the guys stays down by the van. Kat has already gone inside at this point, so it's just me, and I'm hanging out, like, awkward, just still unloading things. The woman and one of the guys has gone inside, and it's just the guy and me downstairs. And he turns to me at one point while I'm like unloading things from the truck awkwardly, because it's now just me, this guy, and this body hanging out outside, and I'm just hoping for a miracle. And he turns to me and goes, "Oh, you guys moving in?" And I was, yeah. I was like, well,
Wait, who was this guy? The
this
guy,
was
the
like
coroner?
probably like the coroner or somebody from the funeral home. He goes, "Oh, you guys moving in?" Just like very casually, just like, "Oh, you moving in?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And so then he looks at me and like dead ass just slaps the top of the van, goes, "Toot toot." Well, she's moving out.
I shouldn't laugh.
And I know, and I was
I
like,
shouldn't laugh.
"Oh," and I was like, oh, okay, okay." And then like,
Okay, okay,
okay,
okay.
and then just like walked inside, and then he drove off.
Trying not to laugh.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it
I mean,
legitimately.
it's his job. I mean, like, he does
It's
this all
100.
the time.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
in
can
that
imagine Cece in that, you know, like I can imagine Cece in that position
100%.
making that exact same joke, like the same phrase, same joke, you know,
Yeah,
like not just like,
and I told her,
you know.
truthfully, I told her about it, and she was like, 100%. Like, when you're in that line of work, you have to have like a kind of a dark sense of humor, because otherwise it's just doom and gloom and dead bodies all the time.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I could imagine you get like desensitized to it, like
Yeah,
to
it's
a
just like
level, you know,
it's just another day at work. Oh, gotta go pick up a dead
because
body.
yeah, I mean, because I mean, like I've like recently have had like a run in with like I wouldn't say those type of people, but people in that career like field and like and it's very much when they speak, it's very much like you know how like when we're at work we're on and we have like our on voice or like it's sometimes it's very clearly like oh they're working that's their teaching
This
voice or their
is my
student voice
teacher
where
voice. This is my sales
yeah
voice. Yep.
but I found out that like people in that career field very much have their like my condolences voice, you know, like where they just switch it on and then at
Yeah.
the end of the day they switch it off and it's like, oh, okay, time to go home.
Yep.
You know, it's just like crazy.
You gotta.
I don't think it's yeah, you have to.
I
You have
couldn't.
to.
I could never.
I don't I mean, I don't I think I could I don't know.
I mean,
Man.
like, I guess you can do we can do anything.
Anything.
We can
If you
do
just put your
anything
mind to it.
with the right
You
attitude.
know what?
You can do anything. The mo you know.
Maybe not us, but you know what? The youth.
The youths, they're capable of.
The youth.
They have the entire world's bit of information at their fingertips if they only used it. So, with that, Gary, we're at the end of today's episode.
Oh man, already?
Yeah, it happens. It bees like that. But,
Yeah.
you
I just
know,
want to say one more thing.
yeah,
You know how like we were talking about like we were like, oh, what were we talking about?
That's a really good question. I don't
Where
know.
what were we talking about? Never mind. I'll bring it up next episode.
No, go ahead. Do it. Do it.
No, I legitimately forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay. Well, you can watch this episode back and then let me know. And we'll start there.
There
We'll
we
start
go.
there. All right. Well, with that being what it is, I want to send a huge shout out to all of our Patreons. You can check us out at patreon.com/next to the floor. Be a Patreon, be one of our patrons, support this little mini project of ours. Thanks a bunch to everyone who's been helping us out over the last 2 years now, basically at this point. And we will, we'll see you sooner rather than later because, I'm in Texas next week for a competition and then got nothing going on. So, as some final thoughts, it costs you $0 to be a good person. It's free. Just try it. Might be a little bit of an emotional investment, but ultimately it costs you $0 to be kind. Make love not war, hugs not drugs.
Oh, I got a haircut, by the way, everybody.
Gary got a haircut. He saw my short hair and was like, I could do that.
I can do that and look better.
Okay. On that note, and this one, that's a wrap. Have a wonderful night, y'all. We'll see you on the other side of whenever. Bye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
Goodbye. I remember what I was talking about.
Oh.
So, you know how, like, Christopher Columbus, like, came and then, like, he landed and he was talking to, like, the Native Americans?
Yes.
And he was like, hey, give me all your food or else I'm going to make the sun go dark.
And they were like, we don't speak Spanish. And so they were like, what?
Nah, but then, like, they're like, nah, we don't trust this guy. And then they're like, okay, hold up. And then all of a sudden, like, eclipse happened. And then, never mind. You know what? I'll tell this next time. Because I don't even know what it related to. I don't even remember why I had this thought.
Stupid.